about this priest. It was in the New York Times 2 days ago. You should read that article. I've never read anything like it. Who is actually going into Ukraine and finding the mass graves there. The point is that all the people in Ukraine are Catholic, and if you had gone there as a Jewish person or some other person, they'd think you were trying to shame them or make them feel embarrassed. But he's a French priest, and he's got tremendous interest in this, and they trust him when he comes. And they, in effect, want to do a kind of absolution. They want to confess. And he calls them together. He's done 1/3 of the Ukraine. It's not the Ukrainians' fault, really. So there were little people who were little kids at that time who saw everything. And at that time, the Germans had Einsatzgruppen, and they were killing people with bullets before they were doing the gas chambers to make it more impersonal. And they killed 1.5 million in the Ukraine. And they did it all with bullets. And if you look at that New York Times article, you can Google it up. It's really an incredible article. It gives you the pictures from the French collection that has about 25 pictures. And you see the naked women in line, you know, waiting to the end of the pit, and the people in the pit who've already shot. And these people are all naked because the Nazis want to take their clothes and everything. They don't give them any dignity, but they have dignity because they're not struggling. They're like Christians in that sense. They don't resist the evil because I guess there's no way to do it. And they've got little children by the hand, and some of them are carrying little naked girls, little naked children, and they're all going to be shot. You know, they're all going to be just waiting. If you hear the others being shot, they're all going to be shot, and with one bullet. So what these people are coming forward because some of them have to dig the graves. These are all unmarked graves, and they're telling what's in the articles. Because it was only one bullet, people would fall into the graves. They wouldn't be dead, a lot of them. And sometimes they would pour oil or something in there and set it alight. And he said the people are reporting stories you could never believe, such horror stories you could never believe, that the bodies are writhing in there because they're still alive with the oil being burned on them. And then other times, they're just buried alive in these huge burial pits, and the people in the area are saying you could see the ground steaming and writhing for 3 days afterwards, and so on and so forth. These are the stories this priest is getting from these people as he's calling them in. Anyway, they've identified 1/3 of these sites. So if you want to understand a little bit of my particular zeal, why I don't apologize to anybody, why I feel that these things have to be sorted out and recognized, you might get a little picture of it there. You know, I understand righteous indignation and zeal. And that's why, and I'll be honest with you, I don't really think a lot about the Palestinian problem, because the misery of the Palestinians and what they've suffered is sad in a way, but a lot of it is, you know, has to do with the disputes that could have been solved ages ago, but they haven't suffered anything like the people that they're trying to dislodge from that place. The Ahmadinejad, you know, talking about another Holocaust, he doesn't know what he's talking about. He doesn't know what people have gone through. He doesn't know what they've been subjected to. We're not talking about, like, you know, 1 million dead. We're talking about 6 million dead, and he's talking about nuking them some more, you know, and so on and so forth. This is why I just turn off all that. Because I know what happened, and I'm not saying it's anyone's fault or blame, but I know that the need of the one is so vast compared to the need of the other. The others are being inconvenienced a bit, and maybe their life wasn't that great in the first place, but so maybe things are a little harder on them. No one's being lined up before pits with little children naked and being shot with one bullet, so all their bodies go into vast grave pits and are seething for 3 days thereafter. You know, it's just like comparing a mouse with an elephant. Honestly, forgive me that thing, but what I'm trying to show you is that I think these are the kinds of things that are at stake in the kind of studies that one is doing here. So anyway, let's go on here with this testimony here. So the people, as I said, who resisted, the reason I got into that, I was showing people who didn't resist, and fine, that's fine, they didn't resist this kind of thing. But the people who did resist in the Roman period, they didn't survive, obviously. So, it goes on. They parcel out their yoke and their taxes, consuming, literally eating, all the peoples year by year, giving many countries over to the sword. We're talking about countries from Spain to Persia. You know, we're not just talking about Egypt, Palestine, and Syria. Therefore, his sword is always unsheathed to decimate the nations mercilessly. That's the Babylonians, who were like the Romans. Its interpretation concerns the Kittim, who destroyed many by the sword, young men, grown-ups, old people. I read this to you last time, women, children, and have no pity. That's the pictures that I was just telling you about, even on the fruit of the womb. And you will read Josephus, and even though he's pro-Roman and pro-Vespasian and pro-Herodian, he describes what happened around the Sea of Galilee. Now, in my view, that's what really happened around the Sea of Galilee, not some sort of storybook presentation of people walking on the sea and this sort of thing, which is nice for, you know, inspiration and literarily pleasing. But what happened on the Sea of Galilee is that the sea ran red with blood, and the Romans, you know, killed everyone who resisted. And he explains about the boatmen on the Sea of Galilee who put up a resistance and how they were all slaughtered. And then he goes on about some of the towns around the Sea of Galilee. Everybody was taken and sold, as I told you last time, as slaves. But the main thing is they killed all the women and children, the people that, and they killed all the old people. And here it is. And they killed all the, what do they have? All the old people, women, and children, and have no pity even on the fruit of the womb. And if you see that, I think he talks about them killing little, you know, women with babies in their womb and stuff like that, who would be useless to them as slaves and so on and so forth. So to me, you know, Michael, that's, in answer to your question, that's what internal evidence looks like. And so I'm not interested in when they do their pseudo analysis on the basis of artificial external parameters that may be true in the best of all times, but may not be accurate as opposed to internal data of this. So that's the Kittim. Now, why is it a puzzle? Because the beginning of the Maccabee books, sorry for those. This, at least you won't forget this anyway. Even I've emphasized twice, I am going too slowly, I'm aware of that, I'm going to try to speed up. We did miss the first